Hello everyone, Alex Spencer here with another video tutorial. And in this particular tutorial, we're going to learn how to set up a Mac so that it can run both the Mac OS X operating software and Windows. And the reason I'm doing this training is twofold. One, I want to show people that you can have kind of an all-in-one system. There's no need to bicker over which is better, Mac versus PC. But more importantly, I realize that as I'm going to be doing a lot of these training series, I'm going to be running into a lot of Windows users. And because I'm primarily a Mac user, I need a way to show people how to do certain things on Windows and how to show them how to do things on Mac as well. So we're going to walk through a training together because I think it's pretty important that if you are a Mac user like me and still want access to Windows programs, this is a way that you can get access to it. Is it perfect? No, but it's about as close as we can get. There's one other way that I'll talk about at the end of the tutorial, but this is primarily the way that I'm going to use to be able to run both Windows and Mac operating softwares on the exact same computer. I'm actually operating off my iMac right now. This recording, as a heads up, probably isn't going to be as polished as most of my other recordings because we are going to run into some bugs, and I'm probably going to leave most of the bugs in there to see so you can see how I work through them. So if there's some ands, ums, buts, anything like that, or any kind of bumps in the road we run into, we probably will leave them in here and just kind of leave it as a rough tutorial because I think it's important for you to see the process. So the first thing we're going to do is actually install a program called a VirtualBox, and VirtualBox lets us run an operating system within an operating system. So it kind of lets us virtualize. There's two other paid versions of very similar software called Parallels or VMware, and those are great too, but they cost money and I'm cheap and I don't want to spend the money, so I'm going to use the free one. So I'm just going to do a quick Google search for VirtualBox. Looks like my caps lock is on there. VirtualBox. And it's made and produced by Oracle, great company, put out all kinds of good software. And like I said, the best part about this is it's free. So I did a Google search for VirtualBox. I'm going to click on downloads here. And I'm looking for VirtualBox for OS X because that's what I'm running. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And my download has started, so I'm going to hit keep, and I probably will edit out this part, so you'll see this go from 2 minutes down to probably 1 second, just like that. Alright, looks like our VirtualBox is done downloading, so I'm going to go ahead and just right click here, go to show in folder, and it's sitting right there, so I'm going to go ahead and double click on that to start the installation. Alright, now I'm just going to follow these steps. It says double click on this icon, and then I'll run the VirtualBox application from the applications folder once it's done installing. So I'm going to go ahead and just double click on that icon and follow these prompts. It's going to ask me for my password. Okay, and I got the notification that that installation's done. So now if I go into my applications folder, I should see VirtualBox, and yep, there it is. I'm going to go ahead and drag it down to my dock because I get the feeling I'll be using it quite a bit. So I'm just going to create a shortcut in my dock. Close these windows out. And now I need to install Windows. And in order to install Windows, I will have to have a working copy of Windows. Like I said in the earlier part of the training, I am cheap, so I just found a old Windows XP disk with an old license that I had available from a laptop that I had bought way back in the 90s. So that's what I'll be installing on here because I don't need anything fancy like Vista or Windows 7 or even Windows 8. I just need some good old-fashioned Windows, and XP will definitely do the job. So I'm going to go ahead and launch VirtualBox to kind of create that computer within a computer feel. Again, it's just kind of a sandbox. And it says, welcome to VirtualBox. The left part of this window is a list of all my virtual machines. This is an empty list right now because I haven't created any virtual machines. So I'm going to go ahead and hit new and create a virtual machine. It's going to walk me through some steps, so I'm going to go ahead and start. The first thing I'm going to do is name this machine, and I'm just going to call it Windows XP. And my operating system is going to be Microsoft Windows, version is going to be Microsoft XP. It's going to let me allocate the amount of RAM I'm going to use for the machine. So let's go ahead and set at least, I don't know, let's set 2 gigs for this machine. Should be fine. And see here. Virtual hard disk, if you new hard disk for the machine, you can either create a new virtual disk or select one from the list. Looks like I don't have any created, so I'm going to go ahead and create a virtual hard disk. Again, we're basically creating a virtual computer here. So it's going to be a startup disk, it's going to be new hard disk. Let's see, new virtual disk for a virtual machine, use the continue button to go to the next page. Which file type would I want to use for the new virtual disk? Virtual disk image seems fine to me. Dynamically allocated, Windows XP, and we'll give it a little bit more. We'll give it like 40 gigs worth of space. And we'll create that box. Okay, go ahead and create it. Okay, so now we have kind of a virtual computer inside this computer. So we see when we turn this computer on, it's going to have at least 2 gigs of memory. It's going to have access to my CD-ROM drive. It has a virtual hard disk. It's going to have at least 16 meg worth of video memory. It's got all the controllers we need to talk to my USB, my audio, all that fun stuff. So now I've gone ahead and inserted my Windows XP disk into the CD-ROM of my iMac, and I'm going to go ahead and start the virtual machine. And as you can see, the machine has automatically detected that I've got the Windows XP setup disk in there, so it's going to go ahead and fire up that Windows XP disk and walk through setting it up and installing it. Once we do this install once, I will never have to do this again, because it's just like the first time you get a new computer out of the box. It's already got Windows XP installed on it or Windows 7 installed on it, so you don't have to install it over and over again. After I get Windows installed this first time, I'll just be able to fire up this machine and run Windows anytime I feel like it. We can see the progress of it down here. I'll probably cut out some of these progress bars just so you don't have to sit and watch a very, very boring, setup is loading this, setup is loading that. We'll cut through a lot of this, but at the end I'll show you what your computer should look like. Okay, so it's finished setting everything up. We did get a message that the mouse does not need to be configured just because it's going to copy over the OS X mouse settings, so that's good news. And it says to start the setup of Windows XP now, press enter. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And it's going to start installing Windows XP Professional on the computer. I do need to agree to their license agreement, so I'll hit F8 to do that. Okay, so what I had to do here, I'm going to back this up real quick and show everybody this because it's going to start installing, but I had a little bit of a trouble hitting the F8 key to agree to the license agreement. The reason being is because I'm using a standard Mac keyboard. So if you're looking at a Mac right now on your standard Mac keyboard, you'll see that F8 actually is a play/pause buttons as a shortcut to iTunes. So every time I was hitting F8, iTunes was popping up. So what I had to do is actually change my system preferences on OS X. I did that by going up to this Apple, going to System Preferences, and once that came up, I clicked on Keyboard, and I had to basically check this box that says use all F1, F2 keys, all my function keys as standard function keys. That basically says, hey, I want to use F keys. I don't want them to be just shortcuts to iTunes or anything else. Once I checked that box, came back here and chose the virtual machine and hit F8, it went ahead and accepted the license agreement, and I was able to move forward. So that's one of those things that I'm definitely leaving in this tutorial because I think a lot of people are going to run into that, and hopefully that helps you out. Now that I was able to agree to their license agreement, I can go ahead and hit enter here saying I want to install Windows on this partition, and we'll go ahead and do it quickly because it's probably already ready to go. So it's going to go ahead and continue the setup. Okay, it looks like setup is finished, and you probably noticed that we skipped a good chunk of that because setup does take quite a while to copy your files. So if you're in a situation like me, just enjoy a cup of coffee or something while you watch it go through, but plan on it taking about 10 to 15 minutes for that setup to go ahead and get knocked out. And it's going to go ahead and restart that virtual machine just to let Windows finish booting up, and the virtual machine will take care of all of it. I'm not touching a thing right now. Looks like we can press any key to boot from CD. I'm not going to let it boot from CD. I'm going to let it ignore the CD and boot directly from the hard drive because Windows should be installed now. And as you can tell, I've got 39 minutes worth of work ahead of me. Like I said, this tutorial will be cut in several places to get rid of any exceptionally boring times where we're just going to sit and wait and watch the installer, but definitely make sure that you've set aside at least an hour to do this project because it will take you some time to get through everything. But it's definitely worth it. The ability to run Windows and Mac at the same time is very cool and very fun and opens up a whole lot of doors for you. So you don't have to worry about, oh, well, this doesn't run on Mac or this doesn't run on Windows. The ability to do both means that you can basically run any program you want or need to get the job done. Okay, it's asking us for our regional and language options, so this should be pretty easy. It's already defaulted to English for us, and we're already set to the standard US keyboard, so I'm just going to hit next here. It's going to ask me for my name and organization. Alex Spencer, don't really have an organization. And now it's asking me for the product key. I am going to enter this, but I'm going to edit it out of the video, so you're not going to be able to see it just because I don't want everybody using the same product key, causing problems with Microsoft and me trying to register multiple of the same product keys. Okay, my product key has been entered, and so I'm going to go ahead and name this Alex PC, keep my caps lock off, set up an administrative password. Set my date and time. It is in fact the 29th at 10:49, and I live in Central Time, so choose Central if I can find it here. Not Central America, Central Time. There we go. And it's going to continue its installation. Okay, and because we're just using a typical install, the typical settings should be fine. I don't really need to worry about the network components, so I'll go ahead and click Next. And I'm going to say that this computer is not on any major computer network or anything like that, so I'll hit Next, and we'll let it continue its installation. Okay, so now the setup is done. Looks like it's going to go through a small rebooting process. I'm just going to leave it alone, not touch it, and we should be able to boot into Windows from now on. Because I have the CD and it's still going to ask me if I want to boot from the CD, I'm not going to touch a key on the keyboard. I'm just going to let it boot directly to the hard drive and let my Windows installation come up. And there we go. I've got a working installation of Windows XP. Let's even pull up a game of Minesweeper real quick and show that we can work it just like we would in Windows. So there we go. I now have a working copy of Windows XP that I can use to do my tutorials with, but I'm actually still running on a Mac. We can see this is actually just being virtual hosted. So I can even, drop down the window to that and keep it inside my Mac and kind of do some scrolling around if I want to, because my Windows settings are so high. But that's all I need to do. Now if I want to go ahead and click X and just power off this machine, now I don't need to go through that installation again. I don't need to do anything again. Anytime I want to use this machine, I'll just open up VirtualBox and tell it to go ahead and power on my Windows XP machine. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer anything. Or as always, you can email me at alex@alexspencer.net. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.